Hello, everybody. Hollywood Matt Connelly here with the double biceps. It is in the contract and legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. This is just an impromptu chat. So anybody that wants to jump in and say hello, be more than happy to comment and get things going. Basically, I've got the day off today, and I just was on Jake Ward's the Aussie Arm Wrestlers stream, and thought we'd pop in here and continue the run going. If anyone from that stream hopefully is still on YouTube and looking for a place to hang out or a place to continue their arm wrestling discussion, then here it is. And the Drew 24, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the Drew. Thank you so much for all your help. You've been tremendous. And I think every single show you've been there and you've always helped us out, putting up links. I think you're even putting up a link in Jake's show to support me, which is just absolutely incredible. And it was one of the coolest things seeing the unboxing video that you did for the little thank you package that we sent earlier in the year. And we've got the world's strangest man. It says, hey, mates, hello to you too, the world's strangest man, WSM. And good to see you in here. We've got the Drew and we've got the world's strangest man popping in to say hello. World's strangest man. Yeah, I keep reading it as world's strongest man. Have you had people misread that before and then think that you're some part of the strongman community? The Drew says, I should have said something before Jake's stream ended. It more would have headed over. That's okay. I didn't want to interrupt Jake. It's his show, and he's, it always looks sort of cheap when you're trying to plug your own thing on somebody else's show. And I'm quite happy to let Jake run the show there because it was his channel. And yeah, it's like, yeah, sure. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to be doing something on mine as well. And there's like, what? Anyway, that's fine. I'm sure that people will find their way here. And if we don't, then that's okay too, because we've got a couple of awesome people here already. We've got Adam Hasty is here. He says, g'day, guys. Hope you're both well. Oh, it's just me here today, Adam. But tomorrow we'll be doing the AWE podcast. It is just me today. And it's just a bit more of a, I was on Jake's show earlier, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and I thought I would just load up my own thing afterwards. And yeah, we'll see how we go. The funny thing was like, world's strangest man. Good to see you too. Yes, indeed. All the time, people mix up world's strangest man to world's strongest man. Where did the username world's strangest man come from? I would like to hear the backstory behind that. And the Drew says, as a send-off to other streams, we all help each other out. Absolutely, yeah. Well, that's the thing is I wasn't planning on going on Jake's show. I was planning on doing this, a bit of a just a random stream. And I loaded up YouTube to make sure that my channel was working. And I saw that Jake was live. And I was like, oh, I better not go live because he's live at the moment and everyone will be watching that. And luckily it was a call-in show. So I was able to I already had everything set up and ready to go. I just clicked the link and there you go. Unfortunately, Silky Wilkie trying to do a camera reveal. He's hid himself and he's hid his identity so well. But on Jake's show, he was trying to show his camera and the technology let him down. I think every time he clicked the camera button, he would kick himself out of the chat, out of the whole stream. So there you go. That's how it goes. But we've got a nice description of an emoji. I always appreciate a description of an emoji. The person turquoise waving. It creates such a wholesome imagery, when you say that. Person turquoise waving, because you get to really think about what that could possibly look like. I wanted to make a YouTube channel and I'm a big fan of strength, so I thought it'd be funny to make this name. There you go. You've done it. Is there content on your channel? Have you made the channel and you've gone world's strangest man and you've decided to start creating videos and putting up your own content? I'll have to look it up afterwards if you have, because I'd be very interested to see the content that you've created. There you go. Big fan. Yes. Elbow cough. Is that an emoji or is that you saying that? It's the program that does that, not me. I know it. World's strangest man. I do appreciate it. I think it's funny. I'm running this through a platform called Restream, which means that you can stream off to multiple different platforms at the same time. Although today it's just on Facebook and YouTube for Hollywood Matt Connelly's channel, but you can get up to, I don't know, 30 channels or something, as if you would like to do that. But the good thing is that everyone's comments all come up on the screen here for me, regardless as to where they're posting them from. So, and obviously Restream interprets an emoji in a very literal sense, in an elbow cough or a person turquoise waving. There you go. You gave me a comment before on one of my videos. Oh, did I? Oh, fantastic. Well, there you go. And just match promotions, nothing special, but Core Sports tanked my channel. Well, they're doing a lot of that recently. That's from what I've heard. We released a promo video for somebody. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was, I think, 3 seconds of a walkout for one of the athletes that was on the card from not WL. What's it called? East versus West. And there's like a 3-second clip of them not even pulling, but just walking towards the camera. And we got hit with a copyright strike. The video got taken down. And we had to, well, rather than battling through court for our right to have that 3 seconds of footage, we just deleted it and then re-uploaded it. But I've heard from quite a few people that they have gone on a bit of a rampage and searching the internet and striking everyone and anyone who's using their content. But you got the fair use policy, which I believe we were very much in underneath in those 3 seconds of footage. But the way YouTube works is that if you say that you're creator of the video and you put the copyright strike against the other person, the video gets taken down until the other person responds. So a lot of power in the other person's hand. And I don't know if you guys remember that this happened with Ryan Bowen maybe last year about this time. And there was like a group of Russians, or there was a group of somebody who decided that they would attack Ryan's channel, and they copyright striked, like, I don't know, 50 of his videos or something for illegal use of music. And they said, oh, that music's ours. We're the owner of that music. You can't use that. And there were videos that didn't even have music. There was just Ryan talking. That's how ridiculous it was. But Ryan's channel got scheduled, like literally scheduled for deletion if he didn't remove these videos. And I think it was imminent that he was heading towards his channel getting completely removed, which is absolutely outrageous. And also with YouTube is that they don't really have a great support system, as in there's not somebody you can just ring, or there's not somebody you can do a chat with. It's very backdoor. You've got to know somebody. You've got to reach out on Twitter and get people to support you, to call out, hey, YouTube, look at this problem and fix it, which just seems a little bit ridiculous to me. But it's a very strange system that they've got set up there, and very much favors somebody that wants to attack another person's channel. And just literally, you can fill out a copyright form on anybody's video, and there it goes, until they can prove that they are the owners of that. And then it's a waste of time, waste of their time to have to do all that. Very frustrating. Adam Hasty, hey, did I hear that AWE is free, or is that just a nasty rumor? No, it's not a nasty rumor at all. That's a very good rumor, and the rumor is absolutely true. So we have pivoted, we've moved away from the pay-per-view model, and we are moving towards the weekly super matches model, which we will be releasing on YouTube and also on the AWE Arm Wrestling website for free. So yes, you are correct. That rumor, it can be confirmed as true, that these matches will be available for everyone to see for free. And we've got a bunch of them we're filming up in Brisbane next Saturday, the 21st. So we're heading up there, and I think we've got 5 that we're doing on that day. And then November the 11th, I'll be in India with Ryan Bowen. The camera keeps flicking on and off. I don't know what it is, but As long as you guys can hear and see me, that's all that's important. So yes, going over to India with Ryan Bowen for the Mazahir Saidu match, which originally was supposed to be taking place here in Australia, but yes, there was some visa issues, and we just needed to go and change things up a little bit. So we have adapted, and that is the style that we will be heading forwards with. So there we go. There's another lovely description of an emoji there. Body blue raised arms. I love these. I think they're fantastic. I thought it was fair use, but I guess not. It probably was. But the problem is you've got to write your case. You've got to, make a statement. You've got to use your examples and blah, blah, blah. It just takes time. And even then, it's like like the YouTube platform sits there as like an arbitrator. At that point, these people make the claim against you, and then you've got the response, and then these people get their chance to respond again, and then YouTube will have a look at it. So it's a really long process. And if you've got a video that's sort of like hot topic kind of thing, something that that is breaking news that only is available for that day, or that people are going to hold their interest for that day, and you put the video out, you've got the inside scoop, you put the video out, and somebody copyright strikes you, and by the time you get it all worked out, no one cares about it anymore. So yeah, there are very nasty individuals out there that will manipulate the system. I guess it's the same with every sport and every organization and every law. There's always people that will push the boundaries and take things very literally. Quite hot here today in Adelaide. I think it's about 28 degrees, which is very nice. And I'm sitting inside. And here we go. We've got Adam Hastie's made a comment here. He says, Lorat versus Georgie Left was available, pirated. Well, how dare they, those pirates? Yes, it is an interesting aspect, the pay-per-view model. I feel like it's outdated. I think it's been outdated for probably the last 10 years. I'd say it's only been the really massive events, and this isn't just for arm wrestling. This is like for everything and anything out there. If you're going to be running a massive big boxing event, then, when Floyd Mayweather boxed Conor McGregor, great. Okay, it's a one-off thing that you put on pay-per-view, makes sense. You've got but regular pay-per-views all the time, I don't see it being the strategy that's going to continue to be successful. And you look at the top companies in the world, they've all moved to those subscription style memberships where you're paying, I don't know, $10 a week or whatever a month, and you get all this content, and then you can watch it to your own at your own leisure. It's a little bit different. I think people just want to have the content and then just consume it instantly. You get people that sit up all night and they'll watch the entire season of something, as opposed to waiting each week for each episode to come out. But big huge one-off events, sure, absolutely, probably still work on pay-per-view. But if you're doing 10 of those a year, it's like, and if you're in an industry that is also there is many other pay-per-views going on, you can get lost in the field. And I'd be very surprised if anybody out there at the moment is making money out of arm wrestling pay-per-views. Well, strangest man, YouTube has to be better about that. Absolutely, I agree with you completely. It's no good. It isn't at all. Dan John is here. He's got the double biceps. There you go. That's the double biceps just for you. Did shoulders this morning in the gym. You ever go to the gym and then you don't even know what you're going to be training until you actually pick up a weight, and then you're like, what am I actually going to be doing? I can't do legs. My legs are sore. Biceps are sore. Wrists are sore. Okay, I'm going to be doing shoulders today. So that was me this morning. So shoulders it was. World's Strangest Man. I did read that on the website. Yeah, well, there you go. Absolutely. And moving forward, we've got Adam Hastie. Oh, like Arm Wars, sort of. Yes, good idea. Absolutely. Yes, it will be similar to what Arm Wars is doing in terms of the post-production matches, but it's not going to be presented in the same style that they do it there. I think there's some differences that we can do specifically that. Well, I'll give you one example. I'm not a huge fan of the interviews with both guys in between every single round. I think it's too many interviews, and it's too much sort of talking to the athlete and not as much arm wrestling. I think it drags out the episode too long. I think, but they average about 25 to 30 minutes. I think if you eliminate the fluff, I guess, if you call it, you're looking at a really punchy kind of 12 to 15 minute match where, you sure, introduce both guys, tell the story of why people should be interested in watching this match, present the match, and then talk to the athletes afterwards. I think talking to them in between every single round, it just gets a little bit like, it's too much. And especially if somebody just gets flash pinned and then they're like, oh, let's do an interview with both guys. It's like, yeah, I got flash pinned. I don't really have anything else to say. You know what I mean? The other guy's like, yeah, I flash pinned him. Like, there's not a lot of content you can add to that. It's like, we didn't really need an interview there. So moving forwards, and we've got we got the emojis have popped up on this one. Maybe it's like certain emojis and not others, but it does like the smiling face and the pirate flag. So there you go. And David Hucks, one of the local arm wrestlers here in Adelaide, in South Australia. He's not in Adelaide, he's out in the country, but he is a very seasoned arm wrestler. Unfortunately, one of the guys that did have an arm break, not at our club, but with a super match that he was having out. I'm not sure where. I don't remember the suburb that you live in, David, but it is quite a distance from here, and unfortunately had the arm break, but has continued in the sport of arm wrestling since, and has risen and gotten much better. I think the last time we were on the table, I was very impressed with your strength, especially on in your wrist. I think you're doing fantastically. Adam Hasty, I can't afford all the pay-per-views. Yes, that's right. East versus West, I can't miss. It's a must. AWE is all of my favorites, so I pay for that, but I can't afford any more. Well, that's exactly right. And it's not only the money, but it's the time investment as well, and especially with East versus West. I mean, their events, and not exaggerating here, I think they do go for about 6 or 7 hours. They go for so long. There were so many matches on those cards. And sure, they want to pack in as much content, and you've got both sides of the argument there. It's like, yeah, well, we want to give you as much value for money as we can. The downside of that is you make your event incredibly long, and by the time you actually get to the marquee matches, people are just like, oh man, I've been watching for 5 hours. Like, I don't really care anymore. So if you're expecting people to watch 7 hours of content, and then the next day there's another pay-per-view and that's 5 hours, and then the week after, it's like, man, I haven't got enough time to catch up. I haven't been able to catch up on all the events that have been going around. I've seen some highlights, but I still have so many matches that I've actually got to go back and watch, especially when you're doing all the AWE stuff every single day. So it does take time, which is a very difficult thing to commit. And one of those things that happened with the UFC for me was the oversaturation of content. And when I became a fan of UFC, and I need my little UFC swear jar, but it's at the podcast studio. But when I was a fan of the UFC events would only happen once every 3 or 4 months. It was rare, and you were all looking forward to it. Everyone that you knew that was into the UFC were all looking forward to that card. And you knew every single fighter that was fighting and what the fights were, and you had your predictions, and then somebody would buy the pay-per-view and you'd all go around there. There'd be a big like barbecue and you'd all watch the matches, and it'd be amazing. And because of the time difference here in Australia, Saturday night in America is like Sunday lunchtime here in Australia. So it was always a lunch event. You could have sandwiches and the kids could be there and everything like that. And it was a big deal. And then the next one wouldn't be for another 3 months or something, and you'd be talking about the one that had just happened for weeks, and watching it over and over. But then, these days, you've got literally an event every single weekend. You've got the Ultimate Fighter TV shows, not only the American version, but you've got multiple countries doing their own version. You've got Dana White's Contender Series. You've got, what else that they've got going on? Fight Pass. And, it's like, if you want to be up to date with the current events of what's happening in UFC, you'd have to be watching 40 hours of content a week, and that's just to remain sort of relevant. And I mean, there's 600 bloody fighters on their card now, on their rosters. It's like there's too much. It's too overwhelming. So you know, unless you're going to invest that much time into it, unless you're an absolute diehard mega fan with all that time, you know, you're probably going to do what I did, and you're going to step back a little bit and be like, look, I'm just going to watch the ones that have fighters in that I actually know. Yeah. And since they changed to being owned by WMEIMG, so they sold the Zuffa, which was owned by the Fertitta brothers. They moved and sold the UFC for $4 billion. So WMEIMG, which owns a lot of big entertainment companies, they've just paid $4 billion for a company, and they're going to get as much money out of it as they possibly can. So they don't really care about making sure that the legacy or the style of how Zuffa built that works. They just like, we just got to throw as many events on and get as much money out of this as possible. So that's where you see the difference. All right, Huxley, the arm wrestler, he's swapping back and forth. He's going from Facebook to YouTube. There you go, Matt. He's just come out from lunch. Yeah, well, there you go. Your counterpoint, your Facebook profile is also commenting. So if that's not you, somebody has your Facebook password. Adam Hasty, East versus West is amazing. I love it. I could watch over 2 days. Yeah, it's a different sort of event, isn't it? Because it's its own thing, and you're either going to love that style of arm wrestling that they present there, or you're probably going to be a mixed bag about it. They spend a lot of money on the events, but I think production-wise and entertainment value-wise for the audience, they could do so many things better. I think the only advantage they have is being able to have the top guys or the elite guys in the world competing on their cards. Outside of that, I think that if somebody had the same resources or the same ability to get the elite talent on their card and was able to sort of build with multiple events, then East versus West probably would look not as appealing to you at that point. But yes, they are doing things in the arm wrestling world at this time, and yes, there's a lot of matches that they put on, but it's not exactly the style that I like. All right, the Drew. I liked when the UFC was every couple of months for the main event stuff. I lost track a while ago with most of it. Yes, absolutely. Yes, me too. Bloody camera. Technology, silky wilky. You have problems with your camera, mine keeps flicking on and off as well. But yes, the UFC. Well, that's the thing. It is what it is. I mean, it's natural growth and progression of a company and a sport and profit. And if you're making, let's say they turned a profit when they did the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, and they started getting money back in. And it's like, all right, every 3 to 4 months is when our events go, hey, we made a lot of money out of that one. All right, let's do another one. We'll put more money into production, into selling this next event, and we can do that in 2 months. It's like, okay, great. And then eventually it comes down to 1 month, and then every weekend, and they probably could put one on every 3 days or something at this point with that many fighters. Problem is that you water down your product and people just get a little bit sick of it. Yeah, not sick of it, but like it's sort of like because it's on all the time, it reduces the value of the product. That scarcity. It's like why diamonds have their value, because they're rare gems. Their scarcity is what gives them their value. But it's almost the same with the UFC. Like, and well, I guess with anything that's interesting. Let's say that East versus West only ran one event a year. You'd probably watch it because it's the only one for the year. But if they're doing it every weekend, you're probably gonna skip a few because you're like, yeah. Probably just miss this one. Who's the main event? I don't really care. Maybe I'll watch the highlights, But it's just that oversaturation, and giving people too much of something can be just as bad as not giving them enough. The Drew says Pro Punja League is a good example of how to run a huge event too. For their first event, they hit it out of the ballpark. Nice to have Sony helping too. Yeah, absolutely. They did an incredible job. 1.4 billion people over in India. I know that they had 32 million people watching their finals. The difference between what they were doing and what we were doing, obviously, we were running a pay-per-view model. Their model was free to air on TV over there, and they fought to get that time spot, which I think it was a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, but it was definitely in a prime time area where they knew they could hit as many people as possible. They had a whole bunch of matches, and they were able to captivate people with, great production, great storytelling, fantastic matches, great athletes, all round. I mean, they really looked very professional. These guys were dressed all in uniforms, and they were very united with each other. The camera work and everything looked phenomenal. And so for people that are flicking through channels and they see, oh, hang on, what's this sport? I don't know, I've never seen this before. And then it's like, oh, it's arm wrestling. Right? Everyone has a basic understanding of what arm wrestling is. It couldn't be simpler. You put your arm there, I try to put it there, and you stop me from doing it. All right, that sounds pretty easy. And it's like, yeah, it sounds easy. There's a lot to it. And the good thing about it is it's simple in concept, but the depth of knowledge is endless. And that's what is absolutely fantastic about the sport, is that everyone on the surface level understands what to do with arm wrestling, but then they don't realize how deep that cavern of knowledge goes. And when they start to realize that, oh, it's more than just turning your wrist over, it's like, I thought you just had to be stronger. And the funny thing is, for me, is when people have their own kitchen set of rules and they're always different about what you can and what you can't do depending on the individual. But some people, oh, you can't bend your wrist, oh, you can't use your body weight, oh, you can't do this, you've got to have one hand behind your back, like, it's just, you hear all these crazy things that it's like, no, that's something you've made up there. It's sort of like the card game or Uno. The people always have different sets of rules for that game as well, and nobody actually plays it by the official rules. Which I downloaded the app, the Uno app, and it plays by the official rules. And I was like, what the hell? I can't do any of the things I'm supposed to be able to do here. You're trying to, I don't know, rather than get into the Uno specifics, we'll stick with arm wrestling, shall we? But what I really enjoy is when somebody finds arm wrestling for the first time, or when it's presented in a way like Pro Panja, and we've got Murdoch here who's asking for thoughts on Pro Panja. When it's presented in such a way that people are seeing this surface level, and that they understand that what arm wrestling is to a very basic degree, and then they see the professionalism, they see the production, and then they see that there's a story being told between this guy versus this guy, and that captivates their interest enough to say, oh, okay, well, when they get on the table, I know what they're trying to do. He's trying to put his arm there, he's trying to put his arm there. That's very easy to understand. But then you get to find out about the different techniques and the different moves and the explosiveness, and then whether this person's really good in endurance and the tactics that are going into these matches, and whether this guy's had an injury in the past, or whether there's some bad blood between these two guys. And there's so many different areas of knowledge that you can have. And it really reminds me of the first time I saw poker. Was it No Limit Poker? I was living in Canada, and I was living in a backpackers hostel. I was doing a bit of a tour, and it was on TV. It was on, and I'm like, poker? Okay, well, I know how to play poker, but I don't know what they're doing. There's two cards you get, and then there's cards in the middle, and it's like, but the announcers and the commentators explained it so proficiently and so well and entertaining, with the way that they explained what each athlete is doing, or each poker player is doing, and literally the funniest thing, like, you've got a poker player on this side of the table, one on that side of the table. They're both sitting there doing nothing at all. They're just sitting there. Most of them have got sunglasses on, so you can't even see their face, and they're literally doing nothing. But the commentators are telling the story as to what's actually taking place in the hand, and every hand is its own little journey as to what's going on. With these different bets and the different strategies and tactics that these guys are doing, and they're trying to outthink each other. And that became incredibly interesting. And I think that's what people really like about watching that. I don't really call it sport, but I guess that game is that they're watching the tactics and strategies of the players. And the more that you know about the game, the better and the more interesting it gets. So on the surface level, you might go, oh, yeah, it's poker. You bet, I bet. Whoever has the best cards wins. Yeah, sure. People understand that's what's fantastic about it. You have a very simple concept with an endless depth of knowledge, and maybe he did this and maybe he looked that way and he bet high and blah, blah, blah. So it's very similar with arm wrestling. So people can see what arm wrestling is. They understand it to a very simple degree, but then the depth of knowledge is what takes people to that next level of interest, and it just keeps bloody going. There's no end to the amount of things that you can learn with arm wrestling, and a bottomless pit of matches you can go and watch and see what people are doing. And the more that you know about arm wrestling, you can see exactly why somebody's winning and why somebody isn't. And you can almost tell who's going to win in the match from the setup, as opposed to when you're watching it on surface level and you've got literally no idea what's going on. I think I missed one from the Drew here. There we go. $50 for a pay-per-view. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, for a couple of matches you really want to see? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things. And again, with with piracy that comes with sporting events these days, that's why I think that the pay-per-view model is outdated. I think back in the days with cable TV, and I know they still got it now, but it's really irrelevant. When there was no other really way to watch the event apart from ordering it. And then even the next day or in the following days, you didn't have a way to see it. You might be looking at photos in the newspaper, or you might be hearing news reports, or they might show a couple of seconds of it on the news. And that's why you would buy that pay-per-view event, because you can't see it any other way. Whereas these days with the internet, with technology, people have the ability to do anything that they want online. If you're going to put a virtual product up there, it's going to get manipulated, stolen, copied. People are just going to spread it everywhere. I know that there's two sides of me that one is, I get that somebody is running a business and they want to make money from it, and they want to put up a product and they want people to legally buy that product, and you want to distribute it to the people who have bought it. And I get that, and that's fair. But the other side of it is you're putting it on the internet, which means people are going to take it and they're going to manipulate it. They're going to offer a free version of that. There's always free versions of everything on the internet, everywhere, no matter what. And you've sort of, it feels to me like the Prohibition era. Like, not that I was alive then, but maybe some of you guys were, but hopefully not. But in the early, was it the 20s? I think they banned alcohol in the United States. No alcohol, yet alcohol was everywhere, and it's completely ridiculous. It's trying to stop a leaking tap with a serviette. It just doesn't work. It's a losing battle, and it's almost ridiculous to even try it. It's like you put a photo up on the internet, that photo's there forever. Like, good luck trying to get that back. People are going to download it and it's gone. There's a million copies of it between a million people now in half a second. It's the technology has far exceeded your ability to just restrict people and say, no, you can only take my product with this paywall. You got to pay the thing through the credit card, and then you're allowed to see it. The same as what they were doing with the cable TV days. It's just different these days. You can pretty much get and see anything that's virtual. I mean, it's all over the place. So yeah, the Prohibition era, no alcohol. And what did that do? It made every single person that wanted to drink alcohol into a criminal. And so people started making their own stuff. Hey, well, People are brewing it in their backyard, they're brewing it in their bathtubs, and it was all over the place, everywhere, and it was a losing battle. It was ridiculous to start. I think that is exactly what we're seeing right now. And probably maybe more extreme 10, 15 years ago when they really went after people for streaming or copying, or I don't know if you guys remember the Kazaa Lite or the Napster or that sort of thing, the Metallica thing that happened with that. And that was essentially what I'm talking about right now, where technology shot past your ability to control a product, and people that had a product were sharing it with others, and all of a sudden the original creators of that product weren't getting their share or their money, and instead of changing and adapting to what the new technology was, they decided to try to sue people directly, which is why you see these court cases where like a housewife that lives with her kids gets sued by a big record label for $1 million for downloading 5 songs. I remember reading a case about that, and it just ruined her life. I mean, she got bankrupt, lost the house, everything, and for what? For what? What did that achieve? Are you trying to scare people into not downloading? They're downloading. It's going to happen. It's all over the place. You cannot stop it. It's always going to be that way. But what they did, so it was about 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and they adapted to that. And that's where you started seeing iTunes and stuff like that. Okay, we'll give you a song for 99 cents. You can download the song legally, even though it's a virtual product, for 99 cents. And then we won't come after you. But they created a new way of giving their product to the consumer, and that's what they have to do. They've always got to move with technology. If you're trying to hold it back, it's not going to happen. It's going to continue to shoot past, and if you try to hold it back, people are just going to skirt around you and keep going. Matt needs an Uno jar. Do you say Uno or Uno? I have always said Uno, and I know that it's probably wrong. I think it's just here in South Australia, maybe, that we say Uno, and I think it's supposed to be Uno. But it's the same with Lego, the little bricks that you build when you're a kid. We say, well, here in Adelaide, in South Australia, we've always said Lego, Laygo, even though I know it's Lego, Lego. But yeah, if somebody calls it Lego, I'm like, hang on, you're not from this state, are you? All right, the Drew. People need a reason to care, to watch, and keep watching. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is what the important thing is, that I think the top promotions in arm wrestling are sort of missing, is that storytelling aspect, and getting people invested into wanting to see the match, apart from the fact that you can go, okay, these are some of the best guys in the world. They're relying on saying that, hey, these are the best guys in the world, and that'll get a certain captive audience. But it's not as valuable as, because you can sell a match that can be between two guys who are very average, but their skill can be, maybe they've been arm wrestling for 2 months and they have no idea what they're doing, but they both absolutely despise each other. And it's like, you're getting that story from this guy, and he's like, oh yeah, I hate this guy, I'm going to smash him. Da, da, da. Other guys saying the same thing. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get on the table. I'm going to break his arm. It's going to be incredible. It's like, cool. I want to see that. I want to see that match. Even though these guys are not at the skill level of the elite arm wrestlers, they are telling a story of, this is why you should watch it. This guy hates this guy. He hates him back. It's going to be incredible. What's going to happen? They're going to get into a fight. I don't know. Maybe they're going to punch each other on the table. Hopefully not. But, it's going to be absolute fireworks. It doesn't have to be that every single time. But the best promotions in the world across all sports have always combined their ability to create drama and tension and story with the elite athletes. And that's what is not currently happening in arm wrestling that I can see. I was talking to Dave on the podcast last week about the John Brzezinski versus Alexei Vovoda rematch. And he said, "Oh, what match is that? Like, who's Vovoda?" And I said, "Oh, well, he's from the Pulling John documentary, and that documentary was, a pivotal point for arm wrestling, and it's a fantastic history of where John Brzezinski stood in the world of arm wrestling, and it sort of followed him, Travis Bajan, and Alexei Vovoda, and Alexei Vovoda obviously idolized John and wanted to beat John as his ultimate sort of goal, and the event, the documentary culminates with that happening. They go to the Zloty tour, and Alexei Vovoda gets the win against John Brzezinski, and it's a really amazing moment. He also gets his revenge against Travis Bajan, but so that moment was incredible for the Pulling John documentary, and now it's a rematch of that, and they hadn't ever pulled again, or not that I knew about, and definitely not to that degree, and that is what didn't get told for that story. I think I didn't see any advertising at all for that. I don't think I even saw a poster for I mean, it might be out there, I just didn't see it. But if that's the two guys that you've got pulling in your main event, and you've got that incredible story that you can tell behind it, get a bloody production crew, tell that story, because people who are not interested in arm wrestling will still jump on and they will watch that, because it's like, oh, that's actually sounds interesting, and it's like, oh, even if they don't watch it, maybe they'll look it up after the event and see what's going on. But I was talking to Dave about that last week, and because he said, "Oh, who's Vovoda?" And then I explained that what I just did then, and he goes, "Well, now I want to see it." But he goes, "I didn't know who they were." Well, obviously he knows who John Brzezinski is, but because I didn't know what this match was, and he's like, "Well, you've just done a better job in the 2 minutes telling me the background of the match than they've done in whatever 4 months, 5 months since the match was announced in promoting the match." So yeah, using the storyline, using the background seems to be lacking in the arm wrestling world at the moment. That's another reason why I'm very excited about the AWE Underground matches, because we'll get that opportunity to do that every single week. We'll be able to promote a match, build it up, tell you a story as to why you will want to watch this match. And even though it's pre-recorded, hopefully the rest of the world won't know what the outcome is. And even if you do, you still see all the background and the behind the scenes stuff that you didn't know about leading into the match. And it's just going to be fantastic from my perspective to be able to get the opportunity to do that, to sell a match, to be like, I love doing that. That's fun for me. Hey, I love getting people involved in this sport and this world of arm wrestling. And I used to work full-time in a gym, and I think every single person there knows that I would do arm wrestling, because I tell people all the time. But if I told you I've run an arm wrestling club, and within a few minutes they're, over there, you're rolling their eyes, because I've been going on about it for 20 minutes, and then I'll usually pull the arm wrestling table out of my car and arm wrestle them in the car park at 2 a.m. But yeah, absolutely. There you go. I'll get some of these comments here because I've been rambling for a little while. The World's Strangest Man's is back in Tiny Ghost Day. Yeah, there you go. Tiny Ghost. Absolutely. The Prohibition era, from what I was talking about before. Piracy is basically free advertising post-event. Yeah, there's that argument, absolutely. Because if people weren't going to buy it, no matter what, they were not going to buy your event, but they watch it through a legal stream. I think it's better that they see it, they see the product, and they enjoy it, because that means that next time maybe they will buy it, because they know what the product is, and they're like, "Oh, I saw that guy on that last stream, and it, the illegal stream," or maybe they've watched 10 illegal streams in a row, or 20 or 30, but they've got a really deep understanding of that sport and the people that they like and the characters that they like in that sport, and they've gone, "Oh, this next one's got my two favorite guys going against each other. I don't want to rely on some really dodgy, crappy stream which keeps dropping out, and having to reload." And then there's people that are trying to load 5 different streams at once, and then your internet's slowing down, and that one's dropped out, and that one's 3 minutes behind, and you click on this one because that one's dropped out, and this one's 3 minutes ahead, and you've accidentally spoiled the result. So instead of that, or maybe I'll actually buy this event and get it done properly. So there you go. You've got to buy because somebody has prioritized the event, and they're probably going to be talking about it as well if they're a fan. They've been talking about it with their friends. They're going to be showing other people, and maybe they'll be buying your merchandise, or maybe they'll be, if you come to town, they might buy a ticket to your show to go to the actual show. So preventing people from seeing it at all is not a great move. World's Strangest Man says it's definitely not it's a Spanish word for one. Yes, I'm aware. It's just a habit that everyone here says, and Lego as well. I don't know. Yeah, Lego. And do you say Lego as well, the Drew? And yeah, it's Uno, rhymes with tune. Tune with tune. I don't think that rhymes with tune at all. Or maybe you're saying two things there. Rhymes with tuna. I don't know. Prunes, whatever. Lego and is what we say. World's Strangest Man thinks that's quite good. And the Drew says, or tuna. We say tuna. I know that you guys say tuna. One other one that I always think is very funny is duty. So we say duty, whereas North Americans tend to say duty. And to me, that just sounds like duty, like you've done a duty, Doodee, duty. Yeah, duty. The cultural differences here. Yeah, absolutely. The tuna. Neil's Time Machine. There you go. And the DeLorean, face red, droopy eyes. There you go. The Drew, the short-sighted greed of corporate. Yeah, that's it. You've expanded on that message here. Your short-sighted greed of corporations don't see it. Don't see if they have made it more affordable for the masses, they would starve the piracy market and get way more sales legitimately. There you go. Absolutely. Well, this is one of those things when the way big companies work and the way corporations work, and if you're working for one of these places, you're always trying to move up and get more money, get a better position, get better conditions, all the rest of it. So maybe you get into a position where you're in charge of stopping piracy for a certain company. And it's like, okay, that's what I'm going to be doing. And my goal here is not that I care about what job that they've actually given me, but it is to make myself look like I have achieved something so they can promote me. And so they can then, after a year or 6 months or whatever, they can go to their boss or to their manager and say, have a look at this. I have stopped 300,000 people from streaming, and I want a raise, or I want to be moved into the next, position. And if they don't get that, maybe they'll be looking at another company. It's very much in those sorts of environments, people will be looking to move onwards, and it's the job that they're doing at the moment is not that they care about that job, it's that they care about that job and getting results that they can show to improve their position. It's not that they specifically care about what they're actually doing. It doesn't like the newer emojis. Yeah. Oh, the sad faces one works. There you go. What was the other one that was you put up a second ago? Let me see. Yeah, that one worked. The tuna one worked. We got the smiley face that worked. The ghost one worked. Here it is. The DeLorean. Oh no, sorry. The face red droopy eyes. I don't know what that one was, but it's probably one of the newer ones that doesn't work. There you go. And we've got Smoky Slancher. That did work. Oh, there you go. That one worked. We've got a red face. We've got some cloud. And there you go. The Drew says, yeah, you think for each of the piracy stopped, they think that means sales lost when many people would have gotten it anyways. Absolutely. There you go. The newer ones don't work. He's trying every emoji here. I'll read them out because I do like the descriptions. Face red, droopy eyes. All the newer ones don't work. Person turquoise waving. That might be my favorite one. Cat orange whistling. Ooh, that's quite good too. I don't know why you would need a cat orange whistling emoji in your day, but somebody has created that for you in case of that reason. Yeah, when I worked for a big shopping center, I used to do security. It was very much like that. We would get a security manager would come into the position, and their goal was to improve their salary or improve their position. They didn't really care about what we were doing, but they wanted results that they could show to other employers or to their own current employer to increase their salary or increase their position. And so, they made a lot of cutbacks, and then they'd put surface level results out there, and then they could go, hey, I've saved the company $50,000 from its budget. So, you need to give me a bonus for doing that or whatever. But one particular manager that I used to work for, this is quite a clever tactic, is that he would, I don't know if they were real or not, he would get job offers that he'd received from other companies, and he would leave them on his desk where everyone could see them. And so, he was doing that deliberately. Whether or not that worked, I don't know. But if let's say you're his boss and you walk past his desk, you're like, what's that? And somebody's offered him, they've offered him like 20 grand more a year. It's just kind of, it's always that negotiation tactic. But the end result is you get somebody in, they cut all costs, which means everything starts falling to pieces. And then they put surface level improvements there, and then they get another job, and then the next manager comes in and does the same thing, and they're like, okay, we got to cut more money, and it's like, we haven't got any areas to cut. We'll have to start firing some of you guys, we're going to save money. And it's like, you realize that this place is just literally falling apart. But it's quite an interesting aspect of the corporate world. They wouldn't have got it anyways. That's right. The streaming there, absolutely. Some of my favorites. The cat orange whistling. Yes. I'll have to look that one up later. I want to see what that looks like. I'm King. Hello, friend Hollywood. I will be there in Adelaide on the 18th to 20th of October, and 21st I come back to the Gold Coast and see you at 22nd of October. Fantastic. I want to grip up with Titans Arm Wrestling Club, especially Hamza. Yeah, we run our training sessions on Sundays. However, we've done this before. When somebody has come in from interstate, we could get a group of us to go around someone's house, and we'll get you to come there or that sort of thing. 18th to 20th. I'm just trying to remember what days I leave. I leave on the Friday morning, which will be the 20th. So if you're here on the Wednesday, the Thursday, absolutely, I will be here. I'll be here in town. And we might be able to organize something for you, and just send me a message on either Instagram or on Facebook, and we'll see if we can get things lined up. We can get some of the guys from the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club in, and we'll give you a good training session, which should be great. And I did think of you straight away, actually, when we changed the event from being here in Adelaide up to Brisbane, because I knew you'd already bought a plane ticket. But it won't be a wasted trip for you. There'll be plenty of really good guys for you to pull down here in Adelaide. The true Matt as a security guard would just walk around with a double bicep flex, and that usually worked. And his size too. Yeah, that's right. His size was this uniform was too small. That's right. Yeah, it's just always this. No, when that job actually was the best job that I've ever had, and we got made redundant in the end, which is the only reason that we left. However, all of the guys that I worked with were huge, and I say shopping center, but it was a nightclub job, because the shopping center had 4 nightclubs in it, and I think it's the only one in the world where they had that. So there was one big nightclub on one side of the shopping center, and then there was like a mall area, and then there was 3 nightclubs out here. And so we would work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. A big crew of us, 7 security guards, because every single time somebody got removed from one of the nightclubs, we had to go and make sure they were removed from the entire property. And so you're attending, one of the nightclubs, and you're dealing with people who have already been in a fight and they're already been kicked out of somewhere, and then you are kicking them out again. And so we had a lot of incidents, a lot of fun, a lot of physical altercations, let's say. I think in Australia we were the number one ranked number one incident for assaults in the country. And yeah, it was no surprise. Obviously, when you've got 3,000 drunken idiots there 4 nights a week, you're going to be having a lot of problems and a lot of physical altercations. But yes, fantastic job. Worked with some awesome people who are still my friends to this day. And it was like going into battle every single night. We'd be having 15, 16 fights a night, and relying on each other very much. And I wasn't the biggest guy, that's for sure. I was about 120 kilos at the time, and I think everyone else was as well. But my best friend and best man at my wedding, he is, I think he still is, 145 kilos and 6'6", and an incredible fighter. And yes, when there would be a fight that would break out, you'd see 7 humongous security go running in and just bowl everyone over, and it was an amazing time. It was a lot of fun, but it did end up that we got made redundant, and that they ended up shutting down the nightclubs because they were just having too much chaos going on. I think the final straw was that we had, I think for 6 weeks in a row, there was a girl that was getting around with her high heel, with her stiletto, and she was smacking guys in the back of the head with her stiletto. Like, it's a spike, and these guys would be pouring out with blood. It was like, but no one knew who it was because she kept disappearing. It was like, the guy would come out, he'd be pouring out with blood. It's like, what happened? Somebody hit me. Other people, this girl hit him with the stiletto, and I don't know, where is she? What does she look like? I don't know. She's gone. So we didn't know who it was. She kept doing it like 6 weeks in a row. Anyway, the 6th week, I was talking to a guy, or trying to help a guy who had just been stilettoed in front of the nightclub, the first nightclub, the big one, and he was pouring out. Like, it was he had his hand on his head, and blood was dripping and like leaking off of his arm, like it was like a tap. It was not a good sight for him, and his shirt and everything was covered in blood. And I went into, they had you guys call it Burger King, we call it Hungry Jack's, and grabbed like a massive wad of napkins, and I gave him the napkins to put on it, and he put it on there. And I think within 5 seconds, that whole wad of napkins was just saturated, and he's like, have you got any more? Oh my god. But yeah, craziness. But at that time, when I was talking to that guy, center manager of the shopping center just happened to walk past, and he's like, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh, well, then the guy goes, I got stilettoed by this. So yeah, anyway, it wasn't good. Yes, I'd see your comment there about CCTV, the Drew. We didn't have access to the nightclub's CCTV. That was their own CCTV, and they would have 50 incidents a night. So yeah, it would be bloody hard to pinpoint who that was, unless they went back, and they didn't really care. The nightclub, it was like, yeah, if she did it and she got, and nothing else happened, and then yeah, it was a different time. And plus, cameras weren't very reliable back then. The CCTV cameras were which sort of helped us a lot, were very unreliable, because there was many times where they would just they would skip in time. And so if you're reviewing something and it's like 10:38 at 16 seconds, and it's like, okay, I'm standing here and I'm talking to this guy, and then it would skip to 11 minutes. And it's like all of a sudden this guy's on the ground. Like, what happened in between? It just didn't. Yeah, they didn't work very well, which worked for our advantage, because we did have some fun back then. It's all different now. Everyone's got a bloody phone on the camera, and but you couldn't get away with the stuff we were doing. I'm you got your AWE shirts here. He has a shirt, actually. The Drew, I created it for him, a special custom made job, because he's a big fan. I'm happy to do one for you as well. They are $40 if you want me to do one, and that's for anybody, actually. If you want a custom picture or anything like that, just let me know and I can create an AWE shirt with that on there. There you go. Nice, thank you. Yes, send me a message when you are planning on getting down, and we'll see if we can line things up. All incidents should be settled with arm wrestling. It would have solved a lot of problems. Actually, I don't know if it would. When you've got the 18 to 25-year-old demographic, and you add alcohol and loud music, and jealousy, and they used to pack the places in real tight. You couldn't move, you couldn't get to the bar, you'd have to fight your way through to the bar, and you couldn't drink your drink without spilling it, and there was a lot of animosity then. But good times for me, but they have ended, unfortunately. We've covered that. There you go. Hungry Jacks, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's just South Australia that we do that for, and I don't exactly know why. It's Burger King, and even on the door when you walk into a Hungry Jacks, it'll say this is a proprietary of Burger King. But it's the same menu and everything. It's the same pictures. It just literally says Hungry Jacks instead of Burger King. So I don't know why. It's just weird. Every other restaurant is the same, Subway and all the rest of it. Crazy how bloody a simple head cut could be. Absolutely. Anything on the face and the head will bleed profusely. The nose, the eyes, the top of the head, the lips, the ears will all bleed severely from sometimes minor impacts. There we go. We've got another attempt at some emojis here. Never heard that. Face purple, wide eyes. Love that one there. Oh, no, that doesn't work, that one. Didn't work either. There you go. Never knew that. Interesting. Yeah, it was a very different time, and a very fantastic time, and I really do miss that part of it, and I really did enjoy it. And one of the negative aspects of having such a fantastic experience, I was there for 4 years, is that every other job in comparison just sucks. Even jobs that are not too bad, they got nothing on what I was doing. You think, say, a Thursday night, right? It's 10 p.m. You're sitting there chatting with your mates that you're working with, and all of a sudden on the radio you hear there's a fight in the car park, and you just leap up and you run and you go and sort out, and you get in fight with somebody, and you pin him to the ground, and you're locking this guy up, and then the police come and they arrest him, and away they go, and then you go back into the room and you'll say, where was I was talking about that thing. And that would happen non-stop. So to do that and to be in that environment where it was exciting, and every single day, like I loved it. I used to go to work when I wasn't on shift. All of us did. We were all very tight like that, all good friends, and all did train together, all relied on each other, and regardless as to whether you're working or not, you would go down and hang out, because it was such a good group of people. And it was just different. It was just a different time. It sounds fun. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we got up to a lot of mischief and had some awesome times there. But yes, you go from that and then to every other job in security is nothing compared to that. You know what I mean? It's just, even working in a club is not as fun, because you're standing most of the times on a box overseeing the crowd, and it's so bloody loud, you can't get away from the music. And back then people used to smoke inside, so your clothes would stink, your hair would stink. I remember standing on a windowsill, and the guy beneath me had a cigar, and it was like, I don't smoke, so it's but I couldn't tell him, hey mate, put your cigar out or anything, because he was allowed to smoke. So you just had to put up with those things back then. But um, yeah, it's just different. Obviously, in a club, you're standing the entire time, which, your legs get tired, you get bored. And then, oh, there's a fight. Great. That's the exciting thing. And then you go back to standing and being bored. Whereas with the other job, it was there's a fight, awesome, go deal with it, and you're dealing with it all the way through to the police arresting this person, as opposed to the nightclub where it's just get them out of the venue. So yeah, just different. Hard to transition from doing something that was awesome, that really was adrenaline rushing, and doing it for 4 years, 4 nights a week, and having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fights and incidents, where your life can be on the line sometimes. We have people pulling knives, we have people with guns. To go from that to, hey, stand on that fence for 10 hours. It's a big come down, and it was very difficult to I haven't found anything that has been as good since, but there's been things that I really do enjoy outside of that. But that was a special time, and it's sort of good in a way that it did end after only a period of 4 years, because if I had gone, say, 10 years into that, you'd never be able to do anything else. You'd just be like, oh my God, everything's boring compared to this, it's difficult. Yeah, I even joined the police. I joined the police force here in South Australia, and I still went back to that job. It was about halfway through, because the police were coming through, and we would work side by side with them all the time, arresting people. And they said, why don't you join up with us, and you can do things from our side of the thing. I'm like, that sounds great. So did all the testing, did all the thing, went into the academy, and then I'm getting messages from my mates at the other job going, you missed a big fight, you missed this, oh, this happened, and then the next day, oh, you missed this, and I'm sitting in a classroom, and it's like they're stacking up folders of law, and it's like, man, I think I just want to go back to the other job, which I did, and then we got made redundant about 6 months later. But that's the way it goes, and it's very different, very different. There you go. But I don't know. I thought I would share that with you guys here, because we've got a few people in, and some legends of the arm wrestling online world, and maybe they would like to know a little bit more about that background. If you've got any questions about that at all, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. But apart from that, probably give it another 5 minutes, and then we'll look at wrapping things up here. But great to have everyone online. I know it's a bit of a weird one with the time difference over there. I know that Jake always sort of hits around the mid-morning time, and for us now it's just gone 12:30 p.m, so just after noon. Not sure what the current US time is. I'm just going to look that up. US time now. Current time in the United States is, where are we? Give me a time. Oh, 9 p.m, 7 p.m. Oh, great. Okay, so it's the evening there. That's pretty good. So I don't feel bad for keeping you guys up. Not that you have to watch, but there you go. That was an awesome story, man. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, there's many, many more. The problem is, if I tell you, or tell people these stories, you will change your opinion of me. You will. You won't think the same. So yeah, it was a different time. There was a lot of things that we did which were fair and reasonable, but can be viewed differently. And I've had that before, when I've told somebody about an incident that happened, and then they've just changed the way that they would act around me from then on. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I won't get into, especially online, where it can be, used against you in a way, or recorded or shown to others. But if I meet you in person and you want to know, I'm happy to tell you. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that went on there that that should be best left unsaid online. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, any other questions while we sort of line things up here to finish up? It's about midday here. Awesome alleged happenings. Yeah, that's right. The Schmo has made his appearance. I'm here, Bollywood. Let's get the show started, mate. I am right at the end of the show. But great to see you here. I'll be here for another couple of minutes. If you've got any questions for me, let me know. The floor is yours. I will answer them straight away. And we've got Jack Smeaton, the leader, the man in the red shirt. Any interest in going back to the police? But the police, no, not really. Uh, when I was in the police force, I knew I only stayed in for a couple of weeks, and I knew very much that this was not right for me. This isn't what I want to be doing. It was very, very structured, very militaristic, very much you do what we say, you speak how we tell you to speak, you walk how we tell you to walk, you look how we tell you to look. It's your control as to what you get to do is removed. And it sort of feels a little weird going through the recruitment process where they're asking for all these, they want these certain characters, these certain people, and they want to, examples of when you were showing leadership and when you were this and what if this would happen and da, 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 da. And then when you get to the academy, they're like, okay, everyone's got to talk like this, say this. You can only be like this. You can't do anything else. If you do anything outside of what we tell you, you get in trouble. And I understand why it's like that. But for me, it was just like, I think I'd prefer to be doing other things where I can have more control and I can bring my own personality forwards, and that's what I've been doing with the last sort of 20 years and doing investing and podcasting and YouTubing and arm wrestling and security and all sorts of crazy things where I had control as to what was going on, as opposed to somebody telling you exactly how to run your day. Very, very strict. And I think that's the problem with that for me going into the job. Drew, I was security at a CVS pharmacy store with general merchandise too. A guy walking out with 2 cases of 18 packs cans of beer. I ripped one out, and then we ended up throwing cans at each other. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's one of those things. There's a lot of these stores and a lot of these corporations and companies, they put security there for the simple purpose of, on their insurance form, they can tick the box that says, was there security on site? And they get a lower premium, so they don't have to pay as much insurance. But they don't want you to do anything. They literally were like, we would prefer you to just stand there and let people rob the store than actually stop people from robbing the store. Because it's a big dramatic incident that takes place in front of all the shoppers, in front of all the other customers. If you've got somebody pinned on the ground in front of the front door for 40 minutes while you wait for the police with beer cans around them, and they're screaming and yelling and going off, that is not a good look for the company. B, you can get sued very, very easily for false arrest, for excessive force. There's so many things that can go wrong. And a lot of these big companies will just give a payout to somebody of, I will pay them 5,000 and just never hear from them again, rather than actually going through the process of going through court and all the rest of it. But yes, that's quite good. I would have liked to have seen that throwing the beer cans at each other. It sounds amazing. Wonder if it was Beer Man, says the strangest man. Sounds like a beer man and a pole maiden and a counter. There you go. That's right. There you go. I was having fun, but he was serious. I'm sure he was very serious. He was probably very drunk too, or he was about to be. Oh, that's fantastic. Murgoch says, yeah, that would not be for me. It wasn't for me either. It is for some people, and that's great. There's definitely people that it suits, and people who are very, very good in that role. Jack Smeaton says, fair enough, mate. At least you gave it a good go. Absolutely. There you go. Thank you, sir. They did say I would be welcome back if I wanted to come back at any point in the future. So there you go. That was always a nice way to finish up. Is AWE your main gig now? It's a little confusing to explain what I do, really. I was working full-time in a gym, but I have done a lot of investing, mainly in property, for the last 13 years. And those investments are now paying enough where I don't have to work in a job. So it's not really a job title to say that you're getting money from your investments. It's like, what do you do for a living? I get money from my investments. I had somebody ask me that this morning, and they're like, oh, yes, because I was at the gym. Oh, so early start this morning. And I was like, nah, not really. They're like, oh, you don't have to get off to the office or anything? And I'm like, no, not really. And he goes, what are you up to today? I'm like, just a few little things. Like, it's just hard to explain what I do. And then it's like, oh, we do the podcast. We've got 2 podcasts, the Daily Combat podcast, the AWE podcast, and then obviously the AWE arm wrestling promotion. We've got the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club. We've got, I've got my family. And then it's just, there's a whole bunch of things that are going on. I also have a swimwear business, which I run. So when somebody says, what do you do for a living? It's a little difficult to answer that question succinctly. And I still don't know what answer to give. I don't know. Maybe I'll just say property investor. Liability reasons. Yeah, that's right. That's the big corporations and their security. Security job has a lot of fun, but one thing is not good. You will get sleeping disorders. Nice to hear your stories. I love this. Yeah, well, there you go. Well, the last 3 years I was working in the gym, which was permanent night shift. It was 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. and it was Monday to Friday. And the reason I wanted to take that job was because of the environment. I love training in the gym, and being able to be in the gym full time was something that I would really want to do. B, there was no sales involved. Didn't have to ring anybody or try to get people to sign up or anything like that, which is fantastic. C, it was stability in terms of the same hours every week. So 10 till 6, bloody cameras turning on and off. 10 till 6, Monday to Friday, was a far cry from the security industry, which was just random shifts all over the place and constantly going back and forth from nights to days. I used to work at a university for 5 years, and it was like Saturday, Sunday day shift of 12 hours. And then straight to Monday, Tuesday night shift of 12 hours. So it was 4 days on and then 3 days off, but not really 3 days off, because Tuesday you're going into Wednesday. You finish at 7 a.m. Wednesday, and then you sleep all day Wednesday. And then you're trying to turn your body clock around to get ready for 7 a.m. start on Saturday, which never bloody happened. And, you'd have an hour's sleep and then you'd be going to work 12 hours. That was just constant. Oh, man. And then, wanting you to come in early, wanting you to stay late, wanting you to do an extra shift. And yes, that was always a very, very difficult aspect to that industry. So having somewhere where I was like, I know exactly what I've got to do every single night, same hours. Yes, that sounded pretty good to me. So that's what I did for the last 3 years. In terms of sleeping disorders, yes, for sure. So that was very much a part of what I've been doing the last, I don't know if you've ever sort of seen, well, I'd say for the last, since I started working in the gym, it was everything else outside of what I was doing with my investments was requiring time as well. And obviously I can't do that while I'm at work. So I was doing that outside of work. So I was working at night all night, and then I'd be doing stuff all day, and then I'd be doing the podcast, and then I'd be doing the arm wrestling videos. And then I'd go back to work. And my sort of routine would be, I would be awake for 3 or 4 days straight. And then I would sleep for like 10 hours, and then I'd be awake for 3 or 4 days straight. And I did that for the last 3 or 4 years to get to this point, which I got to 3 months ago, where it was like, okay, I've hit the point that I need to, where I can actually leave the job and I don't have to be there anymore. So there you go. But Jack, I think you've messaged me on, oh no, it's a different Jack. Oh no, it's the same Jack. He's changed his surname here. I'll talk to you on there after I finish the stream, Jack. Yes, there we go. And the Schmo says, if that, take your jail time on the chin for doing the right thing. Extreme case. But if you're a pedo and you touch a friend or family member, you're going to end up taking a dirt nap. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's the thing with if you guys know, and I need my little UFC swear jar thing, but Cain Velasquez, who used to be the UFC heavyweight champion, he is in jail at the moment for shooting at somebody who had, I think it was his niece, and somebody had, let's say, interfered with his niece, and he found out about it and was chasing this guy in his car, and the other guy was in his car. And when they got to the lights or something, Cain has pulled out a gun and shot at the offender, but missed and shot the offender's dad. So, yeah, it's I don't know how it's going, and I haven't looked into it for a little while, but I know that he's still in prison at the moment. But you would think that there would be some leniency based on the circumstances there. So, are you a landlord? I am indeed, absolutely, yes. Have been for a very long time, and it is interesting. It's an interesting job, but it does require making sure that you do things correctly for the tenants. And I always saw it as, for any tenant that would move into one of my properties, I would say, look, you've got your roles and responsibility as a tenant, which is to follow the house rules, pay the rent on time, and don't mess up the house, get along with the housemates. That's all you've got to do. If you do those things, you'll never hear from me. And I've got responsibilities as a landlord. I've got to make sure that bills are paid and that any repair work gets done. And if somebody is acting up or is not following the rules or whatever, I'm the one that has to step forwards and either evict or talk to that person, make sure that they get correct, their behavior gets corrected. And if I'm not doing my job, then you have every right to tell me that I'm not doing what I'm doing. So we're working together as a team here. And I never looked at it as I'm the landlord and you're the tenant. I looked at it as very much we were on the same level. You've got your roles and responsibilities. I've got mine. I'll ensure that you get yours done, and then you do the same for me as well. If I'm not doing something, like if there's a leaking tap and I haven't fixed it after a week, then I'm not doing my job. So there you go. The passive income specialist. You say that and the people just don't know what you mean. What? They're used to hearing I'm a plumber, I'm a sparky, I'm a builder, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a whatever. I work in advertising. I don't salesman. But if you said, "Oh, I'm a passive income specialist," they would just be like, "Huh?" And then you follow it up with, "I'm an arm wrestler." That's even worse. Your Instagram says entrepreneur and crypto. I don't think it says crypto, does it? It shouldn't. Entrepreneur, I get. Sure. I don't think I wrote crypto guru. Guru. Passive income super specialist. There you go. The piss. That's great. There you go. Oh, here we go. We've got an update here. So Cain is out on bail awaiting trial. He'll get leniency since this isn't the first time there were reports about the son, father, and mother. The city he's from will go up in flames if they sentence him. Absolutely. Yeah, what a horrible situation for everybody involved in that. Not just for Cain, not just for the victim. The city, everybody is affected by that. So yes, hopefully cool heads prevail, and if he does get a sentence, that it is a very lenient sentence. The Drew says arm wrestler beginner course must be completed to be a tenant. Yeah, that's it. One of my tenants actually has built probably four of the tables that you will see in our videos. He's a bit of a handyman, and I tell everybody about arm wrestling, and he's a handyman guy. And I said, "Do you think he could build us an arm wrestling table?" And he's like, "Oh, what?" And then I brought one of the ones that I already owned around, and he copied it up, and he's done 4 of them. So yeah, a very big thanks to him as well. Smoky cheers. There you go. The Smo. I did a resume for my brother when he was trying to leave a warehouse job. I put packing engineer as his title. Yeah, that's sort of like the people who work at Subway and they call themselves sandwich artists. It's like, no, you put stuff in bread. That's great. I like jobs where the name of the job is exactly what you do, like painter, bricklayer. There's no guessing as to what do you do there. It's like, yeah, I'm a bricklayer. Oh, well, so you lay bricks? Yeah. There you go. And the one guy I heard of reverse scamming those people overseas. I'm very hesitant to say certain names here because I know that I've offered a free T-shirt to anybody who can trick me into saying one of the names, you know, the Something Wong or whatever, the silly names. So I will preemptively read this one. The people overseas. I can't see the joke there if it is a joke. It might not be. You might not be trying to trick me here. And I don't want to say it out loud. Anyway, I heard of reverse scamming those people overseas is Yuri, and it's epic. If anyone here knows this reference, reverse scamming those people overseas. Reverse scamming. I mean, what were we talking about when we said reverse scamming? Oh, is this to do with renting? I think you're setting me up. You're trying to win the T-shirt there, and if I say that out loud, I'll probably get the joke. But saying it in my head, it's not working for me. Unless you're actually making a comment about people reverse scamming tenants or something. But if you are the Drew, I didn't fall for that one. I am very much always watching out for that. Since I offered that challenge out, no one's caught me yet. And I don't think that they will because I've been doing this for a long time and I always pre-read what I'm reading. The Schmo. I got Pradeep back for messing with all those grandmothers. There you go, Pradeep. Yeah, well, the interesting thing. So I'll be in India on the 11th of November with Ryan Bowen in New Delhi is where we're going. And Pradeep Singh, who obviously everybody knows from the Arm Wrestling News channel, that's where he lives. And I think we're going to be catching up with Pradeep. So that'll be great to actually meet him in person. I haven't really spoken to him. I've never been on his channel. I haven't, messaged back and forth with him or anything like that. But he is an influential figure in the arm wrestling world. So it will be very cool to actually get to meet the guy. And especially when, you're from the country with the biggest viewership for arm wrestling in the world. And you're probably the best known person that covers arm wrestling from that region. The Drew from Trilogy Media YouTube channel. Funny cameras keep flicking. From Trilogy Media YouTube channel. It's huge. They would set traps for scammers. Okay. Like those refund scams, tax scams, computer scams, and even bust those underage attracted adults. Is this okay? I do like watching those ones where the guy will ring up the call centers and he's a hacker and he gets into their system and then he finds out where their buildings are and he finds out all their names and then he will reveal all that information to them and then they get really angry and they start yelling. It's great. There's some really good channels out there where they do that. And it is a horrible thing that people get scammed out of their money. But I don't know if you have this in the US, but with gift cards here in Australia, probably for the last 2 years, there's always a wall of gift cards near the checkout. And now, or probably the last 2 years, there's a warning sign that says, the tax office would never accept a gift card. Don't buy gift cards for any of the these scams that are happening. And if you have that in America or not, these warning signs that say, don't buy gift cards and then pay the tax office because that's a scam and you're going to lose your money. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Jack. Yes. If I'd said it out loud, it would have been good. I just, when you're reading it, it's like, I can't see it. Yes. The urinator. There you go. Tried to get me, Drew. You want that t-shirt? I already sent you a t-shirt. I sent you Toddzilla's t-shirt. The Great Gamma. There we go. World's Strangest Man. Guess he was from what's now Pakistan, though. Yeah, what was Pakistan called before Pakistan? Don't know. Say the name fast in your head. He would use that name when calling people. Oh, really? Okay. Did he actually? That's kind of funny. There we go. Yeah, that is some of my favorite thing. I love dad jokes. I love jokes in general, and that's why I try to see them coming, because I've enjoyed them so much that I can sort of figure out that might be a joke. You've already got shirts from me. Yeah, well, you could always win it, mate, if you get me to say something that I shouldn't. Was part of India where he was from. Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. And yeah, New Delhi now. The schmo. I do that when giving tips at a restaurant. I leave cash and put 0 for tip and just write taxation is theft. That's awesome. Yeah, there you go. Oh, the Russian guy. Yeah. I think I know which one you mean. On the YouTube channel, he's does he always wear a hoodie? And he uses a voice modulator or something. He's very cool. He's been fantastic at taking down some of those horrible call centers. But yeah, the schmo. This tipping thing is not something I enjoy. When I lived in Canada, it was always confusing to me, and why you would tip certain people and not others, and I just didn't like it. Obviously, coming from Australia where we don't have tipping at all, for me, and I get it. It's a system that you guys have in place and it works for you and all the rest of it. But from my perspective, it seems to be a flawed system, and I feel like Mr. Pink from what's it? Not Inglourious Bastard. Reservoir Dogs. Mr. Pink, who doesn't tip because he doesn't believe in it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense from the way that things work here in Australia. Obviously, say if you went into a restaurant, the waiters and the waitresses, they get paid a certain amount per hour, and that's what they get. And I don't think there's not really a tipping system at all. You can probably give them a tip, and maybe they would share it with the other people that work there, but it'd be very, very, very rare. It's just not really done here. It seems, maybe, I think there's jobs over there where they pay minimum wage, and then but you get tips on top of that, and these people are relying on the tips to boost up their salary or something. But yeah, it's just different, a different culture, a different system. So over here, the hourly wages are pretty good for most jobs, and yeah, they would be like, well, you get paid well, and if you do get a tip, then that's a very, very rare and lucky thing. Yeah, here in America, they pay the servers like crap, and they make money on tips. Restaurants should pay the employee more, but our tax system is completely flawed. There you go. That's the secret. Yeah. So with the tips, they don't have to claim. I don't know how they work. Well, let's get into tax. That's always fun. But if you get tipped, say $100 for the shift, you don't have to claim that in your taxable income, though, do you? Which I guess is the value of having cash. But unless you put that in your bank, and then they have to explain where that money came from. But if you've got cash, and say you got $100 tip for every shift that you work, and you got $500 in cash at the end of the week, that's income that is tax-free. Yes, you're supposed to claim it here, but people don't claim it. As you're supposed to declare it, you're supposed to say, hey, I got money in tips. I mean, you would be foolish to do it, really, because you just got to lose a percentage of it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, and then how much you're supposed to tip and who you're supposed to tip was confusing. Like, I would go get my hair cut and I've got to tip the hairdresser, and it's like, all right. And then you go to buy a t-shirt from somewhere, but you don't tip them, and it's like, meh. It was always a little tricky to figure out like who would get a tip, how much you're supposed to be tipping. And then the sales tax, that was always confusing as well. Like, you'd see, and I know I'm comparing the two different countries, and you've got the system and it works for you guys there, and this is I'm just explaining how it works for us here. If you go into a shop and there's t-shirts for sale, and you look at the tag and it says $10, when you take it to the register, it'll be $10. Over when I was living in Canada, you'd get a t-shirt that says $10. You go to the register and they say, yeah, it's $10.67 for the tax. We've got to add the tax on. What? The state tax or something? Okay. It's just like you'd have to be guessing at how much tax would be added all the time. So it's like, okay, well, this should be 25, but you're gonna I don't know how much tax is going to be. It's probably going to be around 28. Yeah, it was just really confusing. So it's a much easier way to just put the amount on the tag, but whatever, that's the way it works. The Shmoe says, yes, you're supposed to declare it as income, but people don't, or they put partial amounts to not get hassled by the government. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because let's say you're making more money in tips than you are from your hourly wage, but then you go to apply for a loan and the bank says, well, you only earn 20 grand a year. We're not giving you a loan. And you go, oh no, but really I earn 50 grand a year, but the rest is in cash, it's in tips. And they say, yeah, but it's not on your taxable income. And that's what we have to go by. And so, on one hand, yeah, you're getting money that's tax free, but the other hand, it can work against you in certain circumstances, like getting loans, or values of businesses. Like, you say, if you've got a business and you're getting a lot of money in from cash, and then you want to sell the business at some point or borrow against the business, and they say, well, how much is the business bringing in profit wise? And you say, okay, well, 100,000 a year. And they go, oh, 100,000, and you want $3 million for this business? I don't think so. And you go, yeah, it's 100,000 on the books, but really it's 500,000 because $400,000 of it is cash. And they go, well, we can't prove that. Even though it might be legitimate, like you're legitimate getting that money in cash, you can't prove it on paper, which is what they have to go by to get a loan to buy your business or whatever. So it can work for you and it can work against you. But if you're in the really lower income area, it's I wouldn't be declaring it, that's for sure. It's a scam here. You work for a company and the company pays taxes. Your paycheck is also tax. You buy something and the sale is tax. You resell those items and you get taxed again. Yeah, there you go. So let me say it again. You work for a company, the company pays tax. Okay. Your paycheck is also taxed. You buy something, the sale is taxed. You resell those items. Yeah, that's right. So anytime that money changes hands, basically is the government's going, oh, we'll just have a little bit of that. You buying that? We'll have a little bit of that. Yeah, I've used this analogy before, but the system is a corrupt system, but you can still win the game. If you play the game well and you understand the rules, you can still win, and you can still become rich and become successful and become affluent in the society, regardless as to the corruption of these systems. And so if you're, well, not you, but if anybody is using that as a excuse as to why they can't be successful, oh, the government's corrupt, and it's like, yes, but you are still able to win the game. They might take 30% of what you've got, but you can still earn that 70%. And there's a lot of other manipulations you can do in terms of tax laws and all the rest of it. And rather not get into all the nitty gritty of all that sort of stuff. But I would not like somebody to use an excuse, a convenient excuse, as to the government is corrupt, or this company is corrupt, or this thing is against me, so therefore I won't be successful. You can be successful, absolutely. And with today's technology, like the internet, and anybody in the world that has access to the internet should be in a position where, with hard work and dedication, that they would be in a position they could make money from that. Schmo, exactly. There's always a loophole. Real estate here. Don't use your money to buy a house. Let the banks give you a loan and use their money to make you money. Absolutely. There you go. Your Rich Dad, Poor Dad lessons are coming out here. If anyone hasn't read that book and you're interested in learning how to build passive income, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a classic book. It's been around for 30 something years, and a very simple overview as to why things work for people who are looking to move into becoming wealthy, and why people who work in jobs will remain trading their time for money. So it is it's a great story. I've recommended that book to so many people because it is such an excellent example of how you don't get taught how to manage money or look after money throughout your education and schooling. And they're not interested in doing that. They have a very broad overview of their curriculum, and that is basically they'll present these certain topics, and it's up to you to find your own way in terms of your financial success. But it would be, I think, very valuable to society if they did teach people the basic fundamentals of budgeting and how passive income streams work and investing works, because even at the very basic level, if you understand that, you can still use those fundamentals to move things into the right directions. But so many people just get caught in a shitty job that they absolutely hate, and they do it for 40 years, and then at the end they either get made redundant or they're forced to retire, and they've paid a house off and now they've got no income and they're living on a pension, and they're struggling to get by and just struggling to even pay the bills. And it's like, you worked for 40 years. Why are you in this position? You shouldn't be in this position. So anybody that is willing to listen and willing to put action towards it, I always am happy to talk to them about ideas that they have and why things could be improved or how things could be done better. But the value of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and this is the reason I always recommend it, is it's written as a story, and it's very easy to read it because it's like a conversation. But it's teaching all the lessons at the same time. It's not like hey, this is the outlining principles of passive income stream, because no one would buy that. It'd be boring as hell. It's very simple story, and I'll give you a very brief outline because I do like people knowing about this book and why it is good. And it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki is the author. When he was growing up, he had two dads. So one was his real dad, and he called his real dad his poor dad, and the other dad was his friend's dad, and his friend's dad was Rich Dad. His friend's dad would invest. He had businesses, and he would put his money into growing as much passive income as he possibly could. Where his own dad, his poor dad, worked in a job, and he worked to improve his position by getting more education, and he would sort of get promoted, and he sort of boxed himself into this really small, high-paying position, which took him, 20 years or something to sort of build to that point. And I think at that time he might have been getting around $130,000, which is a lot of money, but he'd worked a long time to get to that $130,000. This is the poor dad I'm talking about. And then his position got made redundant and he got knocked back to the position he was in prior to that, and it was like 90 grand. And it's like, okay, well, 90,000 is still a lot. You should be happy to that. You should be able to live on that. The problem was that, and this is another example of this, is that when he was on $130,000, he increased all of his expenses to match $130,000 a year budget. And, buying a boat, going on holidays, buying a holiday house, and now so let's say you get in $2,000 a week, he'd raised his expenses to $2,000 a week. And then all of a sudden you get knocked back from 130,000 to 90,000 and you're like, oh my God, I can't afford any of the stuff. Yeah, so it's just a great introduction to understanding the principles of how to make your life better in terms of your financial world. I don't know why we're going on these weird, crazy topics, but yes, I do like to encourage people to do positive things, and that is definitely a positive step you can take, is to get financially educated. It's easier to make it's easier to make an extra dollar than save a dollar. Folks need to stop being lazy. Yeah, a lot of people have the victim mentality, though. It's much easier to be a victim these days. You can pick any disease or any mental health disorder and say, well, that's the reason I'm not able to do any of the stuff that I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as to how much effort and time you put into building the ideas and dreams and goals that you have. And if you want to do it more than anything, you'll more than likely make it succeed. And I think realistically, it does come down to, this feels like a bloody personal development seminar, and I hope I'm not boring anybody here, but for me, things always come down to self-identity and how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as a certain person with these characteristics and these traits, that's how you believe that you are. You will do the steps required to become that. So for me, I see myself as a fit, muscular man, and to be that, I've got to go to the gym and train and lift heavy weights, and I've got to do it a lot. And so, but because my self-belief and self-realization and self-imagery is this, and that is what I believe myself to be, I take the steps to build that into reality. And that if somebody is keen to do a certain thing, you can very quickly tell whether or not they're actually how committed they are to it, because they're going to be, if they see themselves as that thing, then it's almost like the decision and the actions have been made already, and they've just got to follow through with it. So they're just going to push through no matter what. But it's interesting when people have an idea or a thought, and they start pushing towards it, and you can tell the people who are going to get there no matter what obstacles pop up in their way. It's like they're just going to keep smashing on forwards, and they're going to succeed in this thing because it's part of who they are. That's how they see themselves, as opposed to the person who wants that thing for materialistic reasons, or for somebody else's benefit. I'm doing this for my family. Yeah, well, your family isn't getting up at 4 a.m. and you're going to quit that so fucking quick. But if it's part of who you are, you see yourself as that, you'll become that. And I think that's the big difference, is people who are moving towards something already, they will be heading there regardless as to whether you encourage them or whether you try to dissuade them. So if somebody is very, very keen on doing a certain thing, and they're taking action and they're putting effort in, and they're taking all the right steps, and they're trying to learn from their mistakes, and they're moving forwards and progressing in their career or their idea, you saying, hey, you're doing a great job. Oh, thank you very much. That's nice. Thank you. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. Or you saying, oh, you're terrible, you're never going to succeed. They're like, yeah, okay, thanks, mate. But they're going to keep doing what they're doing regardless. So you're not relying on any outside influence, because that's part of who you are. That's the difference. It's like a fighter is a fighter, and they know that they're just going to be doing that. So that's what they are. They don't do it because they want to be famous. They don't do it because they want a big trophy. Because if they did, they would quit within the first month, because it's hard work and you get hurt, and it requires a self-belief as to, this is who I am, and that's why I can face the adversity of getting there. So that's sort of the first thing that people would want to address if they want to find their ideas becoming realized in terms of what they want to do. So yeah, if you yeah, it's funny. Like I'll talk to people about different ideas, and it's like within a couple of minutes, I'm like, mate, this is. I can tell, like the conviction in your voice is just there's not there. Like you, this isn't what you want. What do you really want to do? Like I get that, yeah, you can make money doing that, but you're not committed enough to doing this to face the adversity and the obstacles that are going to come up. You're probably going to quit at the very first one if you don't quit already just off your own back, because it's not part of who you are. It's not who you see yourself as. And yeah, it's disappointing. And when people don't listen or they don't want to, I don't know. It's funny. I'm just trying to give advice and give help to people sometimes, and I have to be very selective about who I talk to, because people will try to say, "Oh yeah, I'm very committed. I'm very very motivated," and all the rest of it. And then I always sort of give like a bit of a floating question. The way that they answer that question is based on how much more effort I will put into the conversation for them, as to maybe they would respond in a way where it's like, oh, they have an understanding as to what I'm talking about. Then I might say something a little bit more in depth, and then they understand, oh, you know that as well. Okay. And then we can start pushing into ideas and strategies. Whereas if the response is that they have no idea what I'm talking about, okay, well maybe I'll end that line of movement forwards in that conversation. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that you need to realize that if you see yourself as whatever it is you're wanting to be, you will achieve it. And it's almost, as I said, it's almost like you've already done it yourself already. You've already achieved it. You just got to go through the motions of actually getting it. I enjoy having these intellectual topics of discussion. I'm not as dumb as I look. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Well, I do enjoy talking about these sorts of things, and as I said, I hope I'm not boring anybody. But yes, I always. It's one of my biggest things is that I really, really like seeing people succeed, and I love when people have an idea and then they follow through and they find success in that. Or even if they don't find the success that they wanted, they reach a level of success where now they know the mistakes that they've made, and they can move that into another area and find success there. And it's just that to me is always like I just love it, and I love sending people messages when I see, like, say they've put up a photo on Instagram of them doing something, and it's like, man, you're doing awesome. Like, that's amazing. Well done. And it's just try to boost people up and try to be positive as much as I can. But the brain. Oh, there you go. Yes. Well, we're coming up on 3 hours here. I know I said 5 minutes about 40 minutes ago, but we've got a whole bunch of people in here at the moment, and we're having quite an interesting discussion. And yeah, we might go for the 3-hour mark, which is 6 minutes away. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions at all, feel free to ask them, and I will do my best to answer them. If it's about anything, it could be about arm wrestling, could be about finance, could be about property, it could be about personal development, or things that you've overcome, or challenges that you've seen and achieved. And well, I can continue talking about what I've been doing. So I'll do that while we wait for a question. And so after I talked earlier about a job that I had that I really, really enjoyed, and we got made redundant, and then I had to move on from that place into jobs that just sucked. And those jobs, in one respect, forced me to start finding another way to make money than being at this job that I absolutely hate. And I looked into stocks and shares and foreign exchange and all those sorts of things. And to me, not only was it incredibly complex and confusing, it felt very much like educated guessing. Like, I put my money in and I hope that this happens. I have zero control as to the result. All I'm doing is putting my money and saying, I hope that stock goes up or I hope that currency goes down, and trying to get the return. And for me, it was like, I don't know, that doesn't feel like something that I want to be doing. Even if you've got the ability to analyze charts and all the rest of it, you're still guessing at the result. You can't control the result. Uh, and I think even the top investors in the world that are in those fields are only at about 60% or 65% or something of their bets, not bets, but their trades going the way that they want them to. Whereas everyone else is losing money. I was like, this doesn't sound like what I want to be doing. I looked into property, and property for me is very simple to understand. You have a house, somebody rents the house from you, and they pay you money every week. That's easy to understand. There's many, many different things you can do to make more money from the property or manipulate the property in different ways. So maybe you buy the property, you split the property in half, you sell the back block off, and then use that money to pay off the front and get a tenant in there. And now you're making just positive cash flow with no mortgage on that property. You could subdivide, you can borrow against the house. Everything that was there, all the concepts were very, very simple. And for me, it was like, okay, that's where I'm going to be going. Like, I'm going for that market. It's simple. I understand it, and it's available to me, and I can do that. The problem is, of course, Australia's house prices are, I think, some of the highest in the world. So if you're going to buy a very standard house, this is maybe 13 years ago, a very standard house would be about $350,000. So you would need a 20% deposit, which is what, 60,000, 70,000, something like that. And then you've got stamp duty, which is like another $15,000 tax. And then you've got all these sort of amounts that you need to get yourself started. So it's very difficult to get things rolling. But I use the analogy of if you've got like a steam train that's sitting still on a track, and to get that thing moving, it takes a lot of effort. Say it's one of those ones you got to load wood into, build the fire up really, really hot, and then it just starts rolling a little bit, and then you're still putting in all these different things to make this fire as hot as possible, and then it just starts moving, and then it starts moving a little bit more and moving a little bit more, and it starts building speed and starts momentum. And once it's got momentum and it's moving at a decent amount of speed, you only need to put a little bit of wood in every now and then, a little bit of effort in every now and then. And that's very similar to the way that the property market works. Or another analogy is a rocket trying to blast off into space. The amount of force that has to be generated to launch that rocket. You see those enormous explosions that are going off at the bottom of the rocket when it's sitting still here on Earth. And those rockets, the explosive parts, they fall away, and then they've another explosive bit. But once they break the orbit of Earth, they're cruising, and it's a similar concept. So it's difficult at the start, but the more that you garner and the more that you gain, the easier that it gets. So that's where I started pushing myself with property. And the Shmo says, yourself, Dave, and Marcus will feed off each other. Folks don't know the real Marcus other than his banter in chats, but the guy is an absolute genius in real life. Yes, Marcus is a fantastic guy. Marcus Thompson, obviously one of the co-owners of Arm Gods with Paul Maiden. And we do talk to Marcus nearly every day. I think we've got our own little group chat, and we write back and forth and encourage each other, and Marcus helped us out enormously with the AWE website, and is a tremendous man, and very passionate about the sport of arm wrestling. As is that for me, being in a shit job that I absolutely hated for 12 hours a day uh, was very motivating to get out of that and find another way of making money. And so that's why I would work 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. And then I would go from there to one of the properties and meet a tenant and try to get them signed up on a lease. And then I'd be going to another property to renovate a room. And then, I'd get home at say 2 p.m. and then I would sleep for a couple of hours and then I'd get up and work all night and do all these things and answer phone calls. And it's been very, very challenging, I would say. But I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and it finally has come to the point where the amount of money coming in has it did freeze. It said I had a connection issue, but it seems to have come back now, so I don't know. But as long as you guys can hear me. But I was just saying that the difficulty for me was finding another avenue of income that was great enough that I could leave the jobs that I didn't want to be doing. And I finally got there. It took me 13 years, and 13 years, and the last 3 years, I slept hardly anything. I'm not exaggerating when I said that. Yeah, there we go. The Drew, it's back. It is back. Yeah, it did freeze. I said I had a connection issue or something, but hopefully you didn't miss the best part of the story where I told about the aliens and the robots. No. Yeah, anyway, but yeah, when you go to work again and you don't want to be there, it is very much here's your choices, mate. You just got to put up with this for the next 50 years or you're going to get yourself out of it. And so that's where I have gotten at this point. 3 months ago, only 3 months ago. So any of the podcasts and stuff you've seen of me where I've been there prior to 3 months ago, I would have been awake for 3 or 4 days on all of them. That's and none of that stuff makes money at all. But I absolutely love it and see the opportunity there. And because of those opportunities and taking those opportunities, I now get to sit here and chat with you guys. And I would never have had that opportunity if I didn't take Dave up on his offer of doing a show, doing a podcast, and then turning up every time and making sure that things got done and editing the episodes and uploading them. And, I'm doing all these things on top of everything else because I wanted to get it done. And I saw the opportunity, and it was a thing in an area that I really wanted to do. And again, it's that self-belief. So there you go. What a wanker. Absolutely. There you go. Anyway, I think that I've spoken enough, but it seems that people are enjoying what I've been saying, but it has been 3 hours at this point. I could keep going, but maybe we'll save that I might do this on a weekly thing. I'll see if I can figure out Jake's schedule so I don't interrupt what he's doing. And we can do more of these chats with you guys because I always enjoy talking about these sorts of topics. And tomorrow we'll be doing the AWE podcast. I'm not exactly sure what time yet, but I will put a schedule up so you can see when it's going to be coming up. And we're doing 2 podcasts tomorrow. Actually, we've got the Daily Combat podcast also that will be happening in the evening, but I'm not sure if we'll be going live with that one. We might be, but if we do, it'll be with one of the local MMA fighters, Joe Brown. So great guy, very interesting guest. And yeah, if we do go live, obviously if you follow me here, you'll see it here on my channel, but the Daily Combat podcast channel as well. But great to speak to everybody, and I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. If you're in the evening or a day, wherever you are, I'll give you one more double bicep flex. There you go. Good on you, everybody. Thanks for your time, Sister Schmo. Thank you. Have a great day.